So I don't think people realize when I say one of the biggest things that I've learned is just to forgive myself for all of the moments. And it's like repeatedly where I'm thinking about this and trying to think the reason why it's such an important part of um, who I am is that it allows me to be humble. It allows me to sort of connect with myself and realize I am just a buffoon, and that's good. Like that's a that's awesome to be like that. Where I'm always not. Um, so when I get very scared about myself, is that there will be a moment where it will be too successful to talk to anybody, um, and that there'll be a moment where I'm just not going to connect. Instead, I like the fact, and the reason why that is the case, that I worry about that is because of the fact that I'm going to get so far in my head that um, I'm going to think too highly of myself, right? Like there'll be moments where it'll just be, I think I'm far too good, right? And I worry about that and I know that this sounds ridiculous, right? Like, and from somebody that's listening to this, it sounds pretentious, but that's not what I'm saying. Is I don't want to become that person on the other side where, I'm struggling with the sort of pretension of doing things that matter. And it's because of this pretension, I think, in my own view, um, is that the reason why we often see people that won't connect with other people is that they are, nervous, or that there's been so many hard experiences that they've gone through that they just don't want to connect with other people and they distance themselves. So for me, that humility component, that realizing, yeah, I'm just a buffoon. Like, I'm not going to connect. Um, I'm not going to sort of land perfectly all of the time. And I'm going to make so many mistakes all the time. That is going to allow me to keep going. It's going to allow me to get back up and try different things, despite the fact that I'm going to be super nervous, or that there'll be a group of anything. I remember there's this story. There's this famous professor now that a lot of people know about at Wharton. And, he's got this great podcast. I can't remember the guy's name now. Adam Grant. He's got this great podcast or TED Talk where he had somebody that come and propose to him to invest in some new glasses, a new glasses company. Well, that glasses company, he turned them down because he just didn't think it worked. It turned out to be Warby Parker, large company now, online dealer of glasses. And I think about that is a big part of who I am is realizing that those things, those small moments, they're very fleeting. And you can't sort of control when those fleeting moments will actually happen. But you have to be open to them in different ways. It's not just about, it's how you handle those particular situations, like, right? Like, the whole Warby Parker thing, maybe it's not an investment at that specific time, but you can continue to be, part of the relationship, for example, to build something. And I think about that as if I am able, so the whole reciprocity project, right? I'm trying to build this platform that's revolutionizing the way that, peer review is supposed to happen, right? So it's more forgiving. It feels good as an experience, all those kind of things. But I talk a lot in a lot of different ways. And it's the only way that I know, and it's the way that I sort of forgive myself, is I know that this is all embarrassing. The whole process is embarrassing. I'm working on something that I'm well aware that there's other technologies that are really freaking good, right? Like it's from various AI technologies and things like that. Um, and I'm well aware of the potential of everything of this flopping and not working. I'm sort of living this experience. But if I don't get up and I don't embarrass myself, then who is? The whole process is an embarrassment. The whole process is very challenging. And it's really just getting out of my head and saying, oh, I'm going to do this. This is really embarrassing. I don't know what I'm doing. There is nothing that I know that's going to work out at any given time. And there's not one particular thing, right? There's often in your head like, oh, this is going to be the big thing. It's going to change. And you do it and nothing happens, right? It's like, woo, some little thing happens and then that's it. And it's this building block, one little step at a time, being embarrassed all of the time, and yet none of the time, right? Like willing to try things, just going and going and going and going until something clicks. And it's a matter of not necessarily that it clicks like you think about, that all of a sudden everything is going to change and it's going to be revolutionary. No, it's like you step and step and step and step and step, and all of a sudden you look around after you've stepped 10,000 steps or 100,000 steps, and you walked from here to Rome, and all of a sudden you look around and you're like, wait a minute, I just walked from here to Rome. And that's the cool thing, right? Like that's the particular thing. And the only way that you can do this, the only way that you can really transform what, like your surrounding, how you are, is to just be forgiving of yourself, knowing everything about it is an embarrassment. And yet you do it anyway, right? You have all of those tingly, when I say this right now, I'm like, I have tingly feelings in my stomach. And it doesn't feel good to me. And I don't want to do it. And it's all an embarrassment. And yet I am doing it, right? And that's where I need to get used to that. And that's where there is a lot of the stuff that happens. Because if you don't get used to that sort of embarrassing, every moment, everything that you do seems too scary and you're never going to do it. And it's not going to happen. And so you just get used to, not used and like, it never goes away. But everything about it is where you practice forgiveness of yourself. You know, like, yeah, I am a buffoon. And I feel, I get that sort of rush every once in a while. I start thinking about all of the different things I've talked about in videos and all this kind of stuff for the Reciprocity Project, or something that happened many years ago. And then my face gets flushed because I'm thinking about it and I get all embarrassed. And yet I get up and I do it anyway. And I think that's the point, is that I would never do this if I didn't forgive myself. If I didn't simply say, yeah, this is bizarre, but I'm going to keep going anyway, so I'm going to try every day. And that's the idea. One more day. Hopefully you will go through these experiences, just one more day, and keep doing it until you actually get going. Until it happens. Until one day you look around, you're in Rome, because you walked all the way to Rome. All right, take care and have a wonderful